Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome back to another round of My Patriot Report Live. I am Ratwan Hill, the bridge connecting the next generation to federal contracting. And with me is my mentor, the individual responsible for helping the service-disabled veteran-owned small business community do more than $19 billion annually. Co-author of the legislation that created the SBA All Small Business Mentor Protege Program, Mr. Walter Cotton III. Mr. Cotton, how you doing this lovely Friday?
I'm well, thank you. I'm well. Let me move this microphone over a little bit closer. Not that you all have trouble hearing my voice, but I'm well, thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, you got that radio voice, definitely.
Yeah, I used to throw it down back in the day. Hey, baby, what's your name now?
Yeah. What was it? What did you say was the DJ name? I know this is a little bit off topic, but since you brought it up, what was your DJ name again?
Yeah, back in the day, I was DJ Professor Rockwell because I do it so swell.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you're doing government contracting so swell. You have been doing government contracting so swell for over 20 years. Now, let's get into what's going on in the environment, because it's kind of chaotic, right? So we have the South Pars gas field that was attacked, and that's one of the largest oil reservoirs that we have in the world. Then we have the Strait of Hormuz still being congested by Iran's military. Are we looking at a global energy crisis or a global recession? Like, are we at the point of no return? Did we reach that critical inflection point with that?
I think that what we are looking at is a opponent that underestimated its adversary. That's what we're looking at, right? And the ultimate outcome, whether it's going to be a economic downturn for the U.S. or a global economic downturn or a change in hegemon, on the global stage, that jury is out. History's going to write that particular chapter. But for now, what we can say unequivocally, without reservation, is that the resilience, fight, and capability of the Iranian people was underestimated. And that underestimation is potentially threatening the balance of power economically, globally, because of their ability to influence economic conditions that we didn't apparently consider.
Now we've been talking about we the people movement for quite some time. That we got to do something now. So is this like the immediate, we got to say something now? Like, we have to say something now before this.
For me, this is the ultimate justification for the first branch of government rearing its voice and making sure that its voice is heard on this world stage, because we have a set of decisions, right? We have a set of choices that have led the country into a condition that the vast majority of Americans are or should be uncomfortable with, right? We are less economically sound, and from a security perspective, we are less safe. Our systems of systems, to include simple things like transport, right? Getting people through airports, which we used to do on the regular before, now is being disrupted by decisions that have been made. And so at this particular point, I think it's imperative for the first branch of government. I think it's imperative that we, the people, have our position heard, right? We need to let the powers that be that are making these decisions, that are making these choices, know that we don't like it. And if we don't speak up now, we're going to find ourselves looking at other choices that may be even less tenable than the one that we're looking at right now, because the conflict that we're in Iran, the war that we're in Iran, right? That's a war of choice, right? And there has been no explanation that has come out of this administration that is or should be acceptable to the American people, when we are putting ourselves in a position where we are sacrificing the lives of our American people, and we are taking the lives of other people, right? So we need to have right now, and for those of you who don't have the kind of passionate response to this that I'm delivering, we need to wake up, right? With this is real challenge that we have in front of us, and we're sitting in a situation where the individual that decided to put us in a war of choice have not given us a reasonable justification for why we've expended over $13 billion, right, prosecuting this particular event, but we can't provide health care for our citizens, right? So we need an explanation. We demand, we the people, the first branch of government, should be demanding an explanation as to why we's in a conflict over there. The second thing that the first branch of government needs to do is we need to let the rest of the world know what our position is about this ridiculous behavior that has come out of our government, that has come out of our leadership. We need to let them know that we are agreement viable. We are agreement capable, right? The bait and switch things that we are saying, we need to let them know that we are not a bullying nation, right? We are a kinder, gentler nation. And so it's time for the American people to wake up and get engaged and get involved. We need to start not protesting in the street, but we need to get on platforms like this. We need to create our own platform, and we need to have the algorithm hear us say, we are uncomfortable with our name being besmirched on a world stage in this fashion.
Yes, sir. And they were, and Department of War Secretary Pete Hegseth, he was requesting another $200 billion to resupply the munitions and to support of this war. But what I think about it too, what you said, that $13 billion already spent, is like, can we necessarily afford to do that?
I mean, this is nothing new, right? What we're looking at is nothing new. As I said a couple of weeks ago, the urban poet Gil Scott-Heron said it years ago. The military and the monetary get together whenever they think it's necessary to make war in the desert. And here we are again. And this is occurring for reasons that are not in the best interest of the American people. And until we show that there was an imminent threat to the American people, that event that we're in was motivated by another country. And that country on the world stage right now is being revealed as Israel. And so, we need to pull the veil off of this particular relationship, and we need to call it what it is, because right now, there's a tail wagging the dog that is making the world, not just America, the world a less safe place. And we need to do something about it now.
Now I want to make a segue and bring this into the contracting side, right? So 11 billion, 13 billion spent so far, with the request of potentially 200 billion. That's creating a urgency, right? It's creating a need for speed and resupplying munitions. How does that affect the already overworked 1102 community?
That's another example of the decision making that is suspect, right? Again, we've got a younger less experienced 1102 community during this contracting season that's responsible for the above the rim behavior that the seasoned people we allow to retire during that Doge fiasco were once able to do. And now those younger 1102s and 1102s are contracting officers. For those of you who don't know that terminology, that nomenclature, they are responsible for taking this elephant of a $500+ billion budget and shoving it through the eye of the needle without experience. And on top of that was placed this action in Iran, which has its own economic demands. Our acquisition system right now is in dire need of assistance. And so I've been saying this for weeks, months, years now to my veterepreneurs, right? America needs us to come back into the service to support the needs of these United States, starting with the needs of our government. And we don't have to wait on them to give us any new programs, policies, or systems in order to do that. Myself and a small cadre of brothers, veterans, right, have already put all of the policies, regulations. We've leveled the playing field. But what we didn't do is we didn't incentivize our patriots to get up off of the couch, right? We didn't incentivize you to get out of the mustard so you can catch up. Fortunately, this administration is doing that with what it's done with this K-shaped economy. And so if you are finding yourself in the middle class that's slipping into the underclass and you own a DD 214 that said you honorably served this nation, America needs you to come back into service so that we can reshore our manufacturing foundation. We can shore up our supply chain. We can make the economy in this country what it used to be. But I digress, because I've been saying this for the better part of a year and a half as I watched the DEI dismantling wrecking ball move through the country. And I came to the conclusion recently that we can show you better than we can tell you. So what we are going to do is we're going to give you an exact demonstration of what you should be doing to take advantage of this enormous wealth transfer that has your name on it if you are him or her who's born the battle.
Indeed. From the contracting officer perspective, what does a safe decision actually looks like in today's environment?
You know, I'm not a contracting officer, and I don't play one on television, right? I'm industry, and I'll tell you what industry will be looking at in terms of your decisions. One of the first things that industry is going to be looking at is whether or not your action or decision violated my civil rights. Civil rights, contracting. Wait, where do those two things come together? Where those two things come together is rush to judgment, right? This decision that they've made under Executive Order 14240 is requiring a speed to action that's not taking into consideration the equal protection needs of all of the members in the contracting community. And if a contractor finds himself disenfranchised because of the speed to decision, he or her under 42 USC 1986, is that the right number there, Mr. Hill? He has a recourse against you, right? So that's one of the things that I'm taking into consideration if I'm an 1102 in this season, that I'm not taking any actions that put me and my family in harm's way, right? The other thing that industry is going to be looking at is whether or not you're following these new policies and decisions that you are obligated to, like the FAR Council's rewrite that is giving you these additional flexibilities with things like 8A contracts, right? 1/8A, once 8A, always 8A. That rule is changed now, right? You have some flexibilities, and you're faced with a tsunami of 8A actions you need to do something with. Well, the FAR Council has said to you that you can take a requirement out of the 8A program, but you need to award it to an existing socioeconomic program. So I will tell you that industry is watching those actions like a hawk. And if you take a requirement out of the 8A program, and because of convenience, right, you come up with a J&A and you try to award it outside of the 8A program, I can guarantee you that that will be protested through the Court of Federal Claims. And it's my hallucination that the contractor will prevail, because the FAR Council said you have to award to an existing small business or preference owning organization. So if I'm a contracting officer in this season, I'm having industry day briefings with the community, right? I'm trying to find out, whether or not I'm doing everything that's within compliance while the dust is settling, because this is my personal commentary on this. I don't believe that this is going to last. I don't believe that all of these behaviors and actions are going to last beyond the midterm. I believe that the midterm response from the American people are going to slow down these shenanigans, and then we're going to have an opportunity as we prepare for the 2028 election and beyond, right, to take these actions that we got hypnotized into accepting and correcting them, right? Because I'm still, and I stutter when I talk about this, because I still do not understand where the American people got the restraint to stand down when that wing of the White House was tore down, right? To create a ballroom, right? I don't know where within the transient renter's mind it became appropriate for him to do that level of remodeling on the people's house. And for the people not to have said something about that, I'm concerned about that for all kind of reasons, right? I mean, if it's just national security reasons, right? I mean, the kind of things that could be done to a ballroom, right, under construction is immense. Dare I digress? Let's talk about the Kennedy Center. I mean, the kinds of things we're allowing this particular administration to do appears to be something that only a group that's under his gnosis will allow them to do, right? So I'm saying to the American people, man, like, come on, y'all, let's wake up now. We have more authority and we have more power than this, right? Don't wait for the chicken to come to your neighborhood and roost before you stand up and do something about it.
Yes, sir. Now, to me, it seems like the thing is that most of the people, the citizens, even in the industry, a lot of times it's more of in a reactive state than a proactive state.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're under, well, I don't want to get into that far too in depth into that, like that type of talk, but I was gonna say if we're under hypnosis or they're under hypnosis, we just really need to get the people who are listening, the people that this is for the people who are actually can hear us and listening to what we say and they understand what we say, the people who are not under the hypnosis or with the masses.
I think that it just needs to be said. Yeah. Right. It just needs to be said. I think that this little podcast that we have, right, our little Patriot report, right, is going to go into a few ears, and those ears are going to whisper the same thing into other ears. And before you know it, right, it's common knowledge. It's the common perspective and intention. But right now, who else is saying this? Right. I mean, who else is out on the internet that or on the mainstream media that's saying this kind of stuff?
Nobody. And I did an audit. I did an audit on that. Go ahead.
You did an audit? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I did an audit on our channel today just to verify, validate, to see where we at. And they said we the authority because what we talk about, nobody's talking about. It even said that the other podcasts are pretty dry. Not throwing shade, but that's just what it is.
Well, and the reason for that is I don't think that they can take the nonpartisan patriotic stance that we can take, right? Because we're talking about what's in the best interest of these United States, right? Our message is constitutional, right? It's not Republican, it's not Democrat, right? It's universal. It's what's in the best interest of the American citizens. And so we understand our rights under the Constitution, and unlike the MAGA extremists, right, or even the Democratic extremists, right, we're not slave to any party's principles or position, and therefore we're not slave to any cult of personality, right? What we're looking for is what's in the best interest of these United States. And therefore, I can say with a full and deep-throated voice that the president is a renter who is on assignment in the people's house. And I can say that without fear because that's the fact, right? And the fact that we are allowing these constitutional violations, right? Who is by the Constitution responsible for naming? I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. We need to address that. But we, the Patriots, have the footing to stand on and look at these offices and say to them, WTF.
Yeah. And the fact of the matter is contracting officers have the ability to say no to an illegal order, just like the service members have the right to say no to a legal order.
I think that we want to maybe today really focus on beating the drumbeat of that message of people needing to get involved, right? We need to beat that drumbeat, that message that says you have nothing to fear but fear itself in this situation, right? Because in point of fact, we the people have the power. Right. We have the power to take control, to arrest this situation right here, right now, today. Right. We could get rid of those TSA lines that you're seeing on your nightly news just like that. Right. We could curb the enthusiasm of what we're seeing in Iran just like that. If we take our authority, right, just like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, right, we click our heels together and say no. Right, we're not gonna take that anymore. We get up from around our kitchen tables and we go down to our local town hall. We go down to our local congressional office. We go down to our local sheriff's office. We go down to our local congressman's office, and we sit down and we have a coffee table items meeting, a coffee table issue meeting with them. Right. And we let them know that, business as usual is not going to work. And so that they know going into this midterm election what we, the people, expect. But they've created a system, right, where they utilize their, political action committees and the election cycle to, follow the bouncing ball, right? Vote for the guy that I want you to vote for. Be a Republican, be a Democrat, right? In this instance, this season, it is incumbent upon us as Americans to break that cycle of insanity. It is absolutely critical that we get out there, get ourselves informed on the issue, and make sure that the people that are going into office during this midterm are supporting the people's business. And the first order of business, we need to rein in the commander-in-chief. We need to rein him in. I mean, it just needs to be said, right? I mean, you cannot look at that circumstance. You cannot look at that quagmire in faux pas. You cannot look at that quagmire in Iran and not see. You cannot look at some of these daily briefings that are coming out of the White House. You cannot look at this situation and not desire better.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So if you're a contract for it, from your perspective, what matters more to the contracting officer right now? Should it be the size of the company or the reliability of it? Or is it just being able to get the work across the table?
I appreciate you attempting to get the conversation back on the contracting rail on that side of the equation. But I want to stay on this. We the people need. Okay. I want to stay on this particular point because we are in a time of action.
Yeah.
Something has got to be done today. And if it's not done today, we're going to have a more challenged situation to deal with tomorrow. And so right now, we have a situation where we have thousands of Marines that are on that. These are the same Marines that landed when the Vietnam War started. Listen to that, folks, right? And they are on their way to the Middle East. And so the opportunity that this 2,500 Marines that in yesterday's example immediately escalated to 500,000 American soldiers in rice paddies in Vietnam and a new draft in these United States. If that event, right, and the decision making that has led us to be here isn't concerning enough for you to wake up and pay attention, listen to the sound of my voice. We need to wake up and pay attention now, or we're going to have more bloodshed. We're going to have more lives lost than are necessary. And we have the ability to do something about it. And we've got to. We have to.
For what is the next immediate step for the citizens, for the people who's like, okay, Mr. Cotton, I hear you. What do I need to do? What is the next thing? As soon as I get off this live, what should be the next thing I do?
You should pick up the phone and call your congressman, call your senator, call the president's office, and you should tell them to stop the conflict in Iran now. Just stop it now. We want to stop the conflict in Iran right now and resolve that issue. That should be the most immediate thing. We should flood their phone line so much so that the media picks up on the fact that, wow, the American people really, really, really want us to stop this. That's the thing that's got to happen immediately. After that, right, then we can talk about some other things that we can do. But if we can't do something as critical as that as a collective, there's no sense us having conversations about, right? So let's see if we can perform one action as a collective. So you guys take this message and share it on your podcast, share it with other people, and let's see if, like, by Monday, right, we can't have something on the popular media that says the American people want us out of Iran.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. With that being said, guys, you got the call to action. Pick up your phone, call your Congress, call all your leadership for your state government, and let them know that what is going on with Iran, you don't like. And that's the first step that we're going to be taking proactively, so we can try to reverse unnecessary pain. And with that being said, I'm Ratwan Hill, and that is the Mr. Walter Cotton III. Until next time, guys.